are so fortunate to have the Kingdom Mountain Dulcimers, and who will be providing us music, and Reeve Lindbergh, who will be reading us some poetry. The Kingdom Mountain Dulcimers are not strangers to the Athenaeum. They have played here a number of times, as much as I can get them, especially around the holiday season. And you've probably seen the group, or at least members of the group, providing music at various functions around our area. Reeve Lindbergh is an author of adult and children's books. Special and close to our heart, of course, is Homer the Library Cat, which has a very close affiliation here at the Athenaeum. If you want to know any more about that, ask us after. And she has been involved in various charitable projects and organizations, which does include the Friends of the St. Johnsbury Athenaeum. And she is also a docent in our art gallery. So I would love for you to please join me in a warm welcome with the Kingdom Mountain Dulcimers and Reeve Lindbergh.
Hello there. Thank you. Hi. Welcome. Our opening song was the Covered Bridge Waltz. It's a favorite of our dulcimer group and one we play for the covered bridges of the Northeast Kingdom. As Adele mentioned, April is National Poetry Month, and the theme this year is belonging, that we belong to many communities, our family, our friends, our groups, our town, state, nation, the planet. So the Kingdom Mountain Dulcimers, those of us who are here today playing, are from the towns of Lyndonville, St. Johnsbury, and Sheffield. We have many other members. Some are in the audience today. They're from Peacham, Danville, East Haven, Glover, Marshfield, and other places. So together, we are a community of friends who share a common love for this Appalachian folk instrument, the mountain dulcimer. Okay, so the next three songs we play, first will be These Green Mountains. It's the Vermont state song. Then we'll play a medley of two fiddle tunes, Old Joe Clark and June Apple. And third, from the British Isles, we'll play a Welsh song, Calon Lan, which means pure heart. Okay, so you have on your handout that Adele did the words to These Green Mountains. In the year 2000, then Governor Howard Dean made this the official Vermont state song. So if you look at the lyrics, these green hills and silver waters are my home. They belong to me. And to all her sons and daughters, may they be strong and forever free. Let us live to protect her beauty and look with pride on the golden dome. They say home is where the heart is. These green mountains are my home. These green mountains are my home. And we're hoping that you will sing. We will play this 2 times, and we hope that you'll sing with us.
Are my so nice to see you all here. It's great. I thought I would read, after each set, I would read one poem by a local poet and one poem by a poet from somewhere else, or all over the place, and more of a, maybe a national poet. I don't know how to, but anyway, always one local poet, and in the first group, the local poet is me. And I have a reason for it. But when I was teaching school long, long ago, I found that the children I was teaching, who some of them had trouble learning to read, but they could always learn with a rhyme, whether it was a nursery song or a Dr. Seuss book or anything that rhymed. And after that, when I stopped teaching and raised a family, I began to write children's books, always in rhyme, remembering how that helped the children to read. So this one I wrote pretty early on. I think it was my third book, and it was about Johnny Appleseed, because I always loved the story of John Chapman going all throughout America in the early days, and because he was a Swedenborgian who did not believe in hurting anything. And he would walk barefoot all over the wilderness and trying to feel everything that he touched so that he wouldn't hurt anything. This poem is really a story. I made up a little girl, Hannah Goodwin, who lived in those times and met Johnny Appleseed. And here we go. These apple trees were planted here a century ago. 100 years of springtime bloom, 100 years of snow, 100 apple autumns with the wild geese flying high, 100 years of applesauce and steaming apple pie. Young Hannah Goodwin saw him first, a stranger, lean and lorn. His face was thin, his feet were bare, his clothing old and worn. The Godwin family asked him in to dine and talk a while. America was lonely then. He'd traveled many a mile. He said he'd gladly stay to sup, but could not linger here. He had to go plant apple trees across the great frontier. He said it was a wild, wide land, a lonesome land, and long. He said his apples, sharp and sweet, would make the country strong. The family listened while he spoke of forests green and grand, of prairies vast with waving grass, of rivers ribbed in sand. He spoke of families like their own, all moving bravely west, with guns and tops and cooking pots to claim the wilderness. And they have this book here, so she does beautiful work. He said he'd bring them apple trees, our Lord's gift to the earth. He said the sun would warm his seeds, the rain would give them birth. He said that each good orchard grown would bear fruit as God planned, and give the yearning pioneers a taste of promised land. The Goodwin family wished him well and watched him leave alone. He carried neither gun nor knife, no weapon did he own. For though he walked alone and lorn through dangerous land and wild, he said he'd harm no creature born, each one was God's own child. And Hannah heard the tales of him all through her growing years, as he brought apples sharp and sweet to other pioneers. She heard he walked through day and night, and through the winds that moan. She heard he walked in snow and rain that chilled him to the bone. And where he walked, she heard, he gave his blessing softly thrown, the scattered wheat seeds among the weeds, the sweet fruit wisely grown. She heard he loved the forest land and all its creatures too, wild deer and hare, wild wolf and bear, and every bird that flew. She heard the Indians trusted him. He knew the things they knew, which plants would heal or make a meal, which streams ran clear and true. He walked all trails and heard all tales. His orchard spread and grew, and where he went, the deep, rich scent of apple blossoms blew. Hannah Goodwin saw him last when many years had gone. He came in by the orchard gate, a quiet hour past dawn. Hannah knew that gentle smile, that face so long and thin. There was a Bible in his hand. He spoke of where he'd been. He'd walked all through America, and all his seeds he'd sown. He'd planted apples sharp and sweet, and swiftly they had grown. There was spicy apple cider now out on the western plain. There was applesauce in Iowa and apple pie in Maine. Apples crossed the wide Missouri and down the Ohio. Sharp and sweet across the land, they made our country grow. Hannah Goodwin offered thanks for her own trees grown so tall. He said no thanks were owed to him, the Lord had made them all. To grow a country or a tree takes just a planter who will seed and tend till in the end the earth's best dreams come true. He said farewell and traveled on and did not come again. But in this orchard, sharp and sweet, his apples still remain. Hannah Goodwin talked of him in apple time each year when the orchard came to harvest and the air was crisp and clear. She'd ask children to remember and to thank the Lord indeed for apples sharp and apples sweet and Johnny Appleseed. So this was a long time ago, and the artist Kathy Jacobson has gone on to do wonderful books. She has her own special style of folk art, and she was the artist for a book that was really done in tribute to Woody Guthrie, and this is not a story, this is a song. And you'll hear it in a minute, but I think I'll read it first. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. I've roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining and I was strolling and the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling, as the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land, from California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I went walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign it said no trespassing. But on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That side was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. In the shadow of the steeple, I saw my people. By the relief office, I see my people. As they stood there hungry, I stood there asking, is this land made for you and me? This land is your land. This land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can ever make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. And that's it. And the songs are a little different. They don't put in all the things that he had to say, but this is it's a wonderful book. They have it right here at the Athenaeum, and it has a tribute to Woody Guthrie by Pete Seeger. Here we go.
Thank you. The pictures that I could see as you turned the pages looked wonderful. So while we play this one, we want you to sing along. You have the words on your handout, and notice.
We didn't get on.
I didn't. Oh, sorry. Well, the words that you know, you can sing with us. And as she was reading, I was looking at some of the paintings here in the room, and they certainly fit. Enjoying the nature that we have and the freedoms that we have. So we're going to start with This Land Is Your Land, and we'll play it 5 times. 3 of those are the chorus. And then we're going to play Reuben's Train, so you can imagine traveling to some of these places. And following that, when the train arrives somewhere, you might want to enjoy Sarah's Waltz with one of your loved ones.
I forgot to turn it off. This time, the local poet is Herbert Elliott. I have to thank Julie Stern for introducing me to both of these poems. Thank you. And Herbert Elliott was a man who wrote poems from his St. Johnsbury farm in the 1940s and 50s. And I don't think he published or collected them, but his daughter did years later. And this one is Potato Digging by Lantern Light. The dark might shift to flakes of white, and so we went by lantern glow, potato digging in the night, before the cold could bring the snow. You held the lantern dim with smoke for my nocturnal digging there. We saw our voices as we spoke, and flash of frost by lantern glare. Our shadows leaped across the dark and melted in the somber sky. We heard afar the foxes bark and thought we heard the night owl cry. We found, I think, a pail or so of night potatoes cold as stone. But when we turned around to go, your hand was warm inside my own. And the second one is a Mary Oliver poem that I did not know until Julie sent it to me. It's called Poem of the One World. This morning, the beautiful white heron was floating along above the water and then into the sky of this, the one world we all belong to, where everything, sooner or later, is a part of everything else, which thought made me feel for a little while quite beautiful myself.
Our next three songs are one's from Finland and Canada, and our last one is Peace in the Family from Ukraine. This is my song. It's to the tune of Finlandia, and it's an international song of peace. Mes Parents is our second song. It's a Canadian Cajun song. And as I said, Peace in the Family is a Ukrainian folk song.
To sing. The words to This Is My Song. They have the words.
I think you have the words to This Is My Song. And Francie and Julie are kind of featured on the bass in this song.
these last two poems. The one that is local is by Rachel Haddis, whom I'm sure many of you know. She has been teaching in New York for many years. She's just retired and has published, I don't know how many books of poetry. And also, she has also taught and translated classics. So she has a big book called, what she calls My Great Big Fat Greek Anthology. And it's all Greek poetry that she has translated into English. And I started putting sticky notes into these books, and I realized that the books were just bristling with sticky notes, so I had to find something and read it. And there was one that just tickled me. It's called Syrup and a Waffle. Well, the sun came up like a big fried egg. Over my horse I threw my leg. Once my foot was in the stirrup, I drank my morning shot of syrup. Syrup and a waffle, syrup and a waffle. I took my rifle that I won at a raffle. Time to ride around the range on the lookout for anything strange. I can arrest folks for a trifle. Flying at tattered flags unlawful. Syrup and a waffle, syrup and a waffle. When we're apart, I miss you awful. I ride around the dusty hills, righting wrongs and curing ills. Love as sweet as maple syrup keeps me going at a gallop. I never thought that I would ride my trusty rifle by my side around the dusty frontier towns, but life has many ups and downs. Waffle and syrup, it may be cloudy, but it'll clear up. From sunrise to sunset I roam, when darkness falls I head for home. Home of the brave, land of the free, where my baby waits for me. Syrup and a waffle, sit behind me on the saddle. Syrup and a waffle, we're together as we travel. And the last one is another Mary Oliver, and I'm sure it will be familiar to many of you. Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
So thank you everyone for being here today, and thank you Reeve for the beautiful poetry, and thank you Adele and the Athenaeum for arranging this special celebration of poetry and music. Our last song will be Go in Peace. Go in peace, and the grace of God grant you, travelers, rest.